Hi Allah, welcome to Trie Technologies. Please like our channel and subscribe. Whoever are watching, please subscribe. There are a lot of non-subscribers who are watching our channel. So please share with your friends and families. Comment about your queries and feedbacks. Join Telegram channel if you have any comments or if you have any queries. Post there. We'll try to reply you back. So today I'm going to give you an overview of AWS DevOps. Okay, so what we are going to do, so this I'm going to do it in English. Why I'm doing this uh, prior to other ones? Because I am going to write AWS DevOps certification soon. So not soon, maybe after 3 months. So I have planned it for 3 months. So I'll try to cover everything what I'm doing and how I'm preparing and also what concepts I'm going to cover. Okay, so I'll give you all the information here so that you guys can also follow me. And if you guys also wants to write the certification, you can go ahead. If you're already an experienced person, you're already working in DevOps and you want to see what happens in the AWS with respect to DevOps, you can definitely go for this. And I'm doing this in public. I'm not going to put this in membership as of now because already I'm doing DevOps in Telugu in the membership, and also soon I'm going to do DevSecOps in the membership. Okay, so that will be totally Telugu. I'm guessing like I'll do it only in Telugu DevSecOps. After that, after the AWS DevOps, I'll try to do that in English as well. So here, what we are going to cover and what exactly my plan is. Okay, so my plan is to write AWS certification in March 2022. Okay, so I'm planning that AWS DevOps in March 2022. So before going for the exam, okay, so obviously a lot of people will go for the dumps. Okay, so instead of that, before that also, like even if you are going for dumps, so try to cover the syllabus. Okay, so whatever it is required for you to write the certification, at least go through everything, then go for your certifications. Okay, so I'll start with AWS pillars. Okay, so you might already know what are the AWS pillars. Okay, so I'll discuss that in my first section. Then I'll try to cover all the fundamental AWS. Okay, so we'll try to cover all the fundamental AWS services what we have. Not everything, not in depth, but what is required for the AWS DevOps. Then we'll also cover IAM and secrets. This we have already done in Telugu, so it is already there in DevOps Master Program, and also we'll try to cover S3. Then we'll try to cover DynamoDB. Okay, so we'll see what is Amazon DynamoDB. So this is where the major things like what AWS has. Okay, so we'll try to cover this in part one. Okay, so in part two, we'll try to cover mostly like what CI/CD and also what is SDLC. This I've already covered in Telugu, but right now we are doing it in English. Next, we'll try to cover about cloud formation templates and how you use cloud formation templates to deploy your workloads. Okay, so this is the second topic we'll try to cover. Then we'll try to cover about how we create workloads using code commit. Okay, so this is majorly we'll be talking about DevOps of AWS and also code build. We'll talk about code commit and code build. Then we'll try to talk about code deploy. Okay, then we'll try to cover code pipeline. So these are the core AWS related DevOps tools. So we'll try to cover all of these things, and also we'll try to use AWS Ops work, okay, to manage and deploy the applications. Okay, so this is one thing we'll try to cover. also will use elastic beanstalk. So a lot of people are asking about elastic beanstalk, like how you use elastic beanstalk to deploy your applications, and also how you use your lambda functions or lambda deployments. How you'll use lambda deployments, and also versioning. Then also we'll try to cover blue green deployment, which is being asked by a lot of people in our subscribers. Okay, so we'll try to cover all this stuff in part 2. Okay, so we'll try to cover everything in 3 months. Okay, at least I'll try to cover it by March end. Okay, so next we'll try to check on monitoring. So monitoring is very important thing when you are talking about DevOps. Then obviously when you are talking about monitoring in AWS, definitely we'll cover CloudWatch. Okay, then we'll cover what all the metrics we use in CloudWatch. Then we'll also try to do log generate, like how various logs generated in VPC or load balancer logs or cloud trail logs. We'll try to cover all those stuff because we are going to cover monitoring and logs here. Okay, so majorly we'll focus on CloudWatch and how we check all the logs, and also we'll see some of the scenarios. Okay, so logging scenarios, how it works in the real time. Okay, so I'll try to majorly concentrate more on real time aspects only on all these tools which we have discussed right now. So next we'll try to go for the part 4, that is about high availability. Okay, so high availability is the one which is very much required right now. So nothing but your auto scaling and your life cycle hooks, then how you protect data. Okay, so we'll also see that how you protect data. So data protection. Then we'll see how you do the compliance. Compliance is very important when you are talking about security, and also how you enable the standards. Okay, so standards and compliance is very much important, and then we'll try to cover other services, like if there are any miscellaneous services you guys need to know. Okay, so that will cover in the part 4. Then we'll also try to discuss something on certificates, like where to practice, how to practice the certification, what do you say, exam papers. Okay, so most of the time we'll get that in our Udemy. I will try to see like if we can cover that as well, or else we can have open blocks. There are a lot of open blocks where we'll get a lot of questions, so we'll try to cover that. We'll try to see questions at least if we cover 20 to 30 questions a day, so definitely within 20 days, maybe 2022 to the 400 questions we can cover. Okay, so we'll try to do that. Okay, so after maybe in the mid of May, we'll try to complete all 4 things. Then other 15 days, we'll try to cover about this practice test and all that stuff. Okay, so this is what I wanted to convey for you guys. So mostly when we are going to start this, I'll try to start from this week or maybe in December. Okay, if it is not this week, it will be in this, like from tomorrow it is December anyway, so it might be in second week or third week of December. Few things like whatever we have, AWS pillars, fundamentals, IAMs, S3, DynamoDB, a lot of you guys already know about these stuff. If you have not know, please go through them before coming to this course. I will cover anyways, but it is always good like if you know all this stuff before, because so these are all the fundamentals or basic things that you guys should know about, because you are coming into the AWS DevOps. So you should know basic things about AWS, like how you log in into the AWS, um, how to install AWS CLI. You should have an account, like try to get a free account, that is uh, where you can go into the AWS login page. If you go into the Google and search for AWS login, you will get a free account. Log into that account and get your account, so that we'll try to um, uh, use that account to demonstrate all the things. Okay, so few of the things might get charged. Okay, so be careful. Whatever you are creating, try to remove everything, try to destroy everything, so that it will be very very easy. Okay, so I'll just start a basic AWS pillars. Okay, so we'll just try to talk about AWS pillars. Okay, so I thought of starting from December, but yeah, we'll start it a basic thing, so that you guys also will know like what exactly we are going to do. Okay, instead of talking about only the table of contents, what we are trying to cover. Okay, so everyone knows like DevOps. What is DevOps? Okay, so we are trying to cover AWS DevOps here. So you guys should know what is DevOps. So what is DevOps? Nothing but DevOps is simple. It's a combination of skills. So what do you mean by combination of skills? It is a combination of skills with development and operations. So majorly why people have created, why IT industry have got come up with an idea of DevOps, because to break down the differences. Okay, so to break down the differences between developers and operations, because DevOps always includes enabling developers to perform operational tasks easily. And also DevOps also involves operational team members to create their infrastructure as code, and also using other coding techniques like continuous integration pipelines, and also if you say continuous deployment pipelines, and also if you see the same infrastructure. Okay, so whatever the infrastructure we are building, so we can deploy the same infrastructure on multiple regions, right? When you have a cloud, you can deploy multiple in multiple regions very quickly, like within fraction of minutes. You can deploy all your infrastructure in all of your regions. Okay, so that is a best thing why we people are uh, running behind DevOps. Okay, and also when you are talking about AWS or any cloud, you should remember that there are few guidelines, or you can say few principles. Okay, so you need to remember few principles that guides the architects and also the developers. Normally whoever are working in the cloud architects, in cloud designing and architecture, they should follow few principles. Not only in DevOps, it is used in every cloud provider. Like it might be a Google cloud, it might be your Azure, it might be Oracle, IBM, whatever cloud it is. And also the major five principles that we are going to cover here is operational excellence. Okay, so operational excellence, then security, then reliability, right? Then performance efficiency, then cost optimization. Okay, so these are the main five principles, or you can call it as main five pillars. Okay, so this is very important that you guys know whenever you are going on any cloud, like it is AWS, it might be AWS or any cloud. It is very very important that you know about these five pillars or these five principles. Okay, so and also you might be in a dilemma, like why we are talking about AWS principles, why we cannot go and talk about CI/CD directly, or any other DevOps topics, or infrastructure as a code, or serverless topics, right? But these are the main fundamentals. Okay, so whenever you are going for the exam, or whenever you are going for any organization, whenever you are going for any cloud, whatever you do in the real time. Okay, so whenever you are doing anything on the cloud, these are the things you should remember. These are the major five pillars which give you the foundation. Okay, and also they will help you to provide the most effective and dependable, efficient environments for your organization, wherever your company or whoever client you're working with. Okay, and also these design uh, principles, like I said, these are not only important when architecting. Okay, um, on AWS, it is important that you know these basic fundamentals whenever you're working on any cloud. Okay, so please remember that, because whatever we are doing here, whatever we are practicing or whatever we are teaching, okay, so whatever I'm teaching here, whatever we do practice together, okay, these all are your day to day activities. Okay, so please remember that whatever we are talking, this might become your day to day activity when you join a company, or when you are working for a client, or when you are working for your organization. Okay, so make sure that you follow all the five principles or five pillars what we are going to discuss here. Okay, so first we'll talk about operational excellence. Okay, so what do you mean by operational excellence? Okay, so one more important thing is, when you are talking about operational, okay, operations, so this is nothing but your day to day activity, right? So whenever you are a DevOps engineer, this is always your job, your responsibility, your day-to-day responsibility. So you need to start thinking like how, and uh, like how your organization or your teams in your organization are working together, or how they are organized. Because whenever I'm talking about DevOps, we are always talking about breaking down the difference between development and operations teams. Okay, so that is a major agenda, right? So whenever you are in your team, okay, so for example, like you have joined your organization, or you have moved into the DevOps, you are working in a team. Okay, so what might be your priorities? Like how you define your priorities? Um, are you going to talk to your customers, whether they are internal customers or external customers, or are you going to uh, talk to your product owners, who is going to draw the roadmap, like what will be the roadmap, right? So these are all the questions you will be having in your mind. So there you need to remember that whenever we are talking about operational excellence, okay, so we have few principles under operational excellence. Okay, so what are those? Okay, so first one is like performing operations as code. This is very important. Okay, so whenever you are doing your day-to-day activities as a DevOps engineer, it is very important like how you are performing operations as code, and how you refining your operations frequently, right? How you refining your operations frequently, and what all the changes you are doing. It might be a small change, or it might be a frequent change. It might be a bigger or reversible change. Okay, but what kind of changes you are doing, and how you anticipate the failure. And anticipating the failure is very important. Okay, so how you anticipate your failure, and also how you, and what things you have learned from your operational failures. Okay, so what are the things you have learned from your operational failure? These are all the major principles you need to remember when you are working under operational excellence, right? So we'll define individually now. Okay, so what do you mean by operational? Performing operations as code, right? Performing operations as code. So when I'm saying operations as code, nothing but your infrastructure as code. Okay, so a lot of you might already know what is infrastructure as code. You might have already worked on cloud formation, you might have already worked on terraforms, but if you are not sure like what is infrastructure as a code, okay, so this is where we are allowing our team or the teams who are working, okay, so create their applications using a code. So we are, okay, so allowing, okay, so we are allowing ourselves to create applications using code. Okay, so we are not going to interact with any GUI, right? So we are not going to log into our AWS GUI and or any cloud GUI, and we are not going to work from the GUI. Okay, so operational as a code is nothing but we are everything doing as a code. Okay, so we are developing as a code, nothing but um, we are allowing our networking, our services, our data stores. Okay, so many more services. Okay, so all the services which is required to run our application or workloads. Okay, so we are making everything as a code. So this is very very important thing, and this is like your day-to-day activity when you are working as a uh, DevOps engineer. But what is the advantage? Like why we are doing this? What is the advantage? What it has given us? What things we have broke? Like the things which we are doing in olden days, right? So what we have broke there, and what all the things, new things we are doing as a team. So this is where we are distributing knowledge quickly, and also we are preventing uh, like only one person on the team being able to perform an operation, right? If you are an experienced person, if you already have an IT experience, you know that, right? So we are not going to depend on one person who is always doing an operation performance. Like whenever some code comes, only one person will do all the job, but whole team doesn't know what is happening, or if that person leaves the organization, there will be a huge gap, huge dilemma, like who's going to do the operation, how it works, how things go, and all that stuff. Okay, so that we are definitely going to break using IAC, right? So um, the knowledge which is done, okay, so the operational knowledge which is performed by the team is known by every, like it is known to everyone, not only a individual person. Okay, and also it is very easy to do the reviews. So whatever the environments we have, so what all the things we have deployed, who have deployed it, okay, and how many iterations we can do, how many times we can deploy in the test environment. So for example, if something goes wrong, again you need to redeploy. Okay, so that we can easily do, and also it will allow you the changes and improvements to do quickly. Like whatever the testing we are doing, we are going to do it very very quickly, and also we are not going to disturb any production deployments or production environment. So without disturbing any production environments, we can do a lot of iterations on our test environments, and we can see that if everything goes good, and if everything is proper, then we can deploy that same thing on our production boxes. Okay, so what all the tools we use mostly when we in AWS? Okay, so we are talking only on AWS perspective. So whenever you are talking infrastructure or operations as a code, what all the tools we use? We use Cloud Formation, and we use CDK. CDK is nothing but your development kit in AWS. Then we have something called SDK. So we can also write language specific software development kits, and also using our CLI, that is our AWS CLI, or any command line interface. Okay, so these are all the things we use in infrastructure as code for AWS. Okay, so one is Cloud Formation, and the second one is Cloud Development Kit. Okay, and you guys know what is SDK. SDK is nothing but software development kit. Okay, and command line interface. Okay, so these are the AWS specific services where we are using, like where we use to perform our operations as code. Okay, so next thing is, what is the next one? Okay, so next one is your refining operations frequently. Okay, so how you refine your operations frequently? So we are talking about operations frequently whenever you are thinking something on cloud. Okay, so we always think about continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is very much required. Continuous improvement process is very much required when you are doing your job in day to day. Okay. And also, whenever we are working on an agile process, you guys all almost everyone knows what is agile process. If you are not sure, you can go and check in our channel what is agile and all. Okay, so what happens in an agile? So whenever there is a meeting in agile, we always think about, like, whenever we develop some code. Okay, so we always talk about 3 points: what went well, okay, what are the things which we have done well, and what are the things which didn't go well. Okay, so what are the things which didn't well, okay, so didn't go well. And also, next very important thing is improvements we can do, right? So these are the three important aspects we always talk when we are talking about agile process. And why we are talking about this process? Because we need to have a continuous improvement in our team or in our project. It might be an application perspective, or it might be an infrastructure perspective. It is always important. So it is always important, like, when we are going to ask these questions, like, what all these things has to be there, what are the improvements we should have. Okay, so it is always important, like, what type of deployments you are doing. It is an automated deployment or a manual deployment or a hybrid deployment, or what kind of testing you are doing, automated testing or a manual testing. And what are the improvements you can get after production issue, right? And also, um, the major important thing is, okay, so you should be able to look at your current operational setup and see what could be better. It is always important that you are seeking further improvements every time whenever you are working on the operations. And also, you should see, like, if you are seeing any production issue, for example, you don't have any monitoring in place, or you don't see a very good monitoring tool in place, or a monitoring team in place. Okay, so you should see the improvements, like how you can overcome these production issues, and how you see the failures, or how you can overcome those failures. Okay, so it is always important that you do that in your operational frequency. Okay, so, like, operations frequently. Okay, so that is the major point which you need to cover in your day-to-day activities. Then we are talking about small, frequent, and reversible changes. So what do you mean by like, small, frequent, and reversible changes? So here we always talk about microservices. Okay, so most of the time when we are talking about DevOps, we are thinking about the microservice. So how you are breaking your application with the independent services. Like, for example, we are talking about a large monolith designs, where if a simple service fails, all your application going down. Okay, so that is very risky. Okay, so when you break it down, or when you decouple the services, or when you making into the smaller pieces, so it is more manageable, and also you can work with smaller changes that are more reversible, right? So what do you mean by smaller changes? So for example, if something breaking, okay, so you have four services which is running your application, and all the four services are decoupled. Okay, so they are independent. If something goes wrong on the one service, you can, what you can do, you can raise a change and you can fix this, right? So this is a small change. And also, you can do these changes frequently. If you are seeing issues, you can do that frequently. And also, it is very important when you are doing in the AWS cloud, or any cloud, or if you are doing on a open DevOps also, you all know about Git, right? So when we are talking about uh, Git tags or code commit, okay, so whatever things we are using in AWS, okay, so we'll be using code commit in the AWS. Okay, so there we can redeploy our application, or if something goes wrong, you can rewrite, or you can go to the previous versions, right? So that is also one change, like, you can easily do. Okay, so these are all the things comes into the picture whenever you say small and frequent and reversible changes. And next comes the anticipating failure, right? So what do you mean by anticipating the failure? Okay, so it is like whenever we are moving into the cloud and the services, whatever we are deploying in our cloud, or the application which we are deploying on the cloud. Okay, so it is not that because we are hosting everything on the cloud, we don't have any problem, right? Most of the people have this perception. Okay, so whenever they think like they are deploying on the cloud, they think like we don't be worried much, or we don't have any uh, problems or any failures. Okay, so it is not that like whenever we are deploying something on cloud we don't have failures. Failures happen, or may not often, but it might happen. Okay, but whenever we are running something on cloud for your client, it is always important that it should not fail. Whenever it is failing, you are seeing a business loss. Okay, so business loss is nothing but you are losing your revenue, and also you are losing your reputation, nothing but your organization's reputation. Okay, so it is always important that you anticipate the failures whenever you see like something is coming. Okay, so but you are not like previously I already talked about your monitoring thing. Okay, so you have already anticipated that you see like something is not visible to us, so we need to go for that. You have to go for that. Okay, so you should anticipate those failures, because the service level agreements which we are going to do with our clients or the um, customers. Okay, so whoever are like whomever you are working. Okay, so that is very important that you stick to the service level agreements. Okay, that we got as SLAs. We cannot go and apologize that okay, so we have not anticipated this failure, or we have not expected this this has come up like these excuses we cannot do with the client, right? So you should always be on your toes, and you should be always uh, uh, be sure that what kind of failures you can see. Okay, and the next thing is like what you are learning from your failures. Okay, so how and what are the things you can learn from your failures. I've already given you the example. Okay, so this is a best example, like in your production you don't have your monitoring things. Okay, so you need to resolve that. Okay, so you need to resolve that issues, and you should not make that failure, like you should not see that failure again. Okay, you have already talked your like discussed with your client saying that we have already anticipated the failure, you have a documented, you have everything, but you have not yet uh, implemented that in your production. Then that is a huge mistake that you are going to do. Okay, so whenever you see, whenever you anticipate something but you have not rectified it, but it went like it went off, like it already failed, so you should learn from that failure. You should not repeat that failure. That is very important. Okay, because failures will come, failures will happen time to time, so you should do your analysis why it got failed. You should do your root cause analysis. You should do your postmortem analysis. Okay, and also you should answer like after failure, like why it has happened. Okay, so lot of questions will come, um, why the failure was occurred, and what things you have anticipated early, and what are the things you are going to remediate, and how you're going to rectify that, and how you guarantee that it won't come in coming days. Okay, so these are all the things you should be remembering. Okay, so this is about your first pillar. Okay, so it's huge. So this is about your first pillar, operational excellence. Under operational excellence, we have seen all these 5 points. Okay, so you guys can write it down somewhere, or you can note it down somewhere. That is very important. Okay, so next thing is security. So we'll try to cover that in the next session. Okay, so I just thought of doing everything, but It will be like it will go on for 2 hours from now. Okay, so we'll take a break here. Okay, so this is the first session. Okay, so you guys might have got a clear picture of what I'm talking about. So these are all the day-to-day activities what I have discussed till now in the operational excellence. So try to write it down somewhere and try to make those points whatever I have mentioned so that it will be easy for you to remember and it will be easy for you to work as a DevOps engineer. And whoever are watching still, please subscribe, share with your friends and families, and don't forget to comment about your queries. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day. Bye.